Luis Alvarez, the CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, has joined us to give us our latest technology fix. Welcome back, Luis.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'm always happy to be here with you.
Well, I am happy to have you here. So what kind of mind bender do you have for us today?
Well, this is going to be kind of fun. Well, as you know, Russia has been in the news a lot lately, thanks mainly to our good buddy Vladimir Putin's desire to revive the bygone era of the Cold War. He seems to really enjoy jabbing the West in as many areas as possible, geographically, politically, militarily, and now even in the technology front.
Did you say technology front? That's a very new spin on an old problem.
Yeah, I thought it might be. Just last week, Bloomberg News reported on a world-famous cybersecurity company called Kaspersky Lab, which is based in Russia, and the article accused the principals of the firm of having unusually close ties to the Russian government, including the FSB, which is the Russian security agency that came out of the old KGB after the Cold War ended.
So is Bloomberg saying that these are government-sponsored cyber attacks?
Well, according to Bloomberg, the CEO of the company, a guy named Eugene Kaspersky, was educated at a KGB-sponsored cryptography institute, and then he went on to work for Russian military intelligence. And in fact, they also note that to this day, he gets together weekly with 5 or 10 of these senior Russian government officials, including some of those guys from the intelligence services, and they get together to enjoy sauna treatment. So you might ask, why should we keep the CEO of a cybersecurity company is enjoying a spa day with Russian spies? Well, Kaspersky Lab sells their security software all over the world, including the United States, and many American companies use the software to protect against cyber threats to their PCs and servers.
So you're saying that the U.S. government and businesses are using cybersecurity software developed by a Russian who was trained by and worked for Russian intelligence and still has close ties with them. Is that what you're saying, Luis?
Yeah, mind-boggling, isn't it, huh?
This is not making me feel safe.
Well, the Bloomberg article actually went further, implying that this cozy relationship between Kaspersky and the Russian government might indicate that Kaspersky is spying on their clients in the U.S. and elsewhere on behalf of the Russians, and also providing some sort of backdoor access to the very systems it's intended to protect.
So, well, I mean, can you blame folks for being a little concerned? So what does Kaspersky say about all this?
Well, as you can expect, the executives at the firm, including the CEO, they vehemently deny the allegations, actually laugh them off. And they also point to the fact that many American cybersecurity companies like Symantec and McAfee have, very tight relationships with the U.S. government, and they do business overseas as well.
Oh, that's true. They sell all over the place.
Mm-hmm. And all of these companies will tell you that working closely with local governments isn't that unusual. After all, when there's a cyber attack or a new threat, it kind of makes sense that private and public agencies work together to respond to that threat. But still, ever since the Edward Snowden revelations about how closely the U.S. intel agencies like the NSA and CIA were tied to companies like Google and Microsoft, private industry and privacy rights advocates have been worried that there's more going on than we know.
Now, speaking of which, I don't know if you saw the HBO documentary on Edward Snowden. It's called Citizen 4. But if you haven't,
good movie.
Did you see it?
I did see it. Yeah, it was a documentary.
Oh, I just want to. I'm going to depart here for a moment, but I want to recommend it to everyone listening to this broadcast because it was so well done, and it gave me a completely different perspective on Snowden than the media had portrayed. Anyways, okay. So back to Kaspersky. Is there any evidence, in your view, to support our worries?
Well, critics note that Kaspersky has released several reports in the recent past detailing the efforts of Western countries to hack into networks in Russia and Eastern Europe. Yet they rarely talk about the role of Russian hackers attacking the West. And some people see this as a sign that the company is trying to cover for the Russian government, act as a shill of some sort, which, of course, the firm denies completely. But this brouhaha just illustrates the problem that a number of tech firms all around the world face, because many of them were started by former government officials with the support of money from those governments. And it's not just in Russia and the U.S. either. There are a number of Israeli cybersecurity firms, for example, that were initially funded and nurtured by Mossad, which, as you know, is the Israeli intelligence service. And China is notorious for the number of tech companies that were started by the Chinese military, the People's Liberation Army. And the PLA support of some of these tech companies is so brazen and open that many of those firms aren't able to operate in U.S. government agencies for fear of backdoors and security holes that the Chinese could exploit.
So this really speaks to a much bigger issue. I mean, when we use software or hardware or any kind of technology that was created on foreign soil, using that foreign government's money to produce, how do we know if there's a backdoor? How do we know if we're leaving ourselves vulnerable and there isn't something embedded in there that's sinister and maniacal?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you that there's a solid way to do that, but there isn't really. Regardless of the accuracy of the Bloomberg article, and I admit as a technologist, I'm somewhat dubious of the article's insinuations myself. The fact of the matter is that the technology startups, especially those focused on cybersecurity, they get a lot of support from government agencies, and there's no way of knowing whether that's a good thing or a bad thing right now.
Do you remember for a while there was a big rumor going around that the antiviral software companies were embedding viruses in new viruses in the antiviral software, so that every now and again a new virus would come about and you'd have to buy another antiviral software.
Yeah, job security. I remember those rumors flying fast and furious, especially in the early days when it seemed like you were constantly having to upgrade and buy something new, and some of our clients even complained that they'd heard rumors of that fact that Norton was creating viruses to force us to buy
more Norton products. Right? But was that ever? Was there ever any truth to that? Did anything ever come to fruition in terms of evidence?
No, I mean not that I know of. I know that the companies at one point in the early 2000s, they went very public with a PR campaign to dissuade people from that thought, because they recognize that what we don't see in technology is one of those things that is so intangible. It can scare us, and viruses and malware, those sorts of things, that's a scary subject, and everybody wants to have some peace of mind about it, but that's tough.
Yeah. But this, until somebody discovers that some product, supported and funded by a foreign government, that some product really had some sinister aspect to it, I don't know that this rumor that Bloomberg has started is any different.
Yep, I agree with you. I think this is going to be around for a while.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that is all the time that we've got for this segment. It looks like we're going to have to wait and see how this all shakes out. But in the meantime, I think I might stick to good old made in the USA hardware and software. But thanks for stopping by again, Luis.
Rebecca.
I know. Thanks for stopping by again and scaring me again, yet again.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Rebecca. This is Luis Alvarez from the Alvarez Technology Group, reminding you that when it comes to technology, forewarned is forearmed. Forewarned is forearmed. Forewarned is forearmed.